ticking clock's gonna come back and take you home. I could not stop, but you now know, singing, come out upon my seas, curse me, stop opportunities. Am I a part of the cure? I am a part of the disease, singing.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eye, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely when the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely when the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. I just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Good morning.
Everyone, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You're doing
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Friday.
Good morning.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome to our first Power to the Transfer webinar series. So let's get started. So good morning and thank you for joining us. We are very, very excited to see all of you and to bring you the CCP Power to the Transfer webinar series. My name is Alfred Herrera, and I am the Assistant Vice Provost and Director of CCP. I am a first-generation college student, like most of you, and I'm a Chicano from Baldwin Park. Anybody from the San Gabriel Valley here? Shout out. And I'm a fourth generation here in California. I come from a low-income family, and I am proud to be the son of Henry and Alice Herrera. As some of you know, we've had to change our planned programming and have decided to launch this webinar series. Our goal is to provide you with critical and important information from a social justice perspective to help guide you on your transfer path. This is not a session on admissions or selection, but more a session to learn about the stories and pathways of others like yourselves who are blazing trails by entering the university and going on to do amazing things. Our intention is to continue to assist you and refer you to programs, services, and people who will help make your transition to a university smoother. Our commitment is clear. We want to motivate, inspire, and empower you to take ownership of your education, to learn what you should know, to help guide you on that path until you reach your goals. Your commitment should be to absorb as much as you can, to ask a lot of questions, and to challenge yourself to reach for your goals. Challenge yourself, turn your fears into energy to drive you to reach those goals. And always turn around and help those next to you or behind you so they might have the opportunity to realize their goals. One by one, we change the narratives of our community. One by one, we enter this university to change the university. Oh, and another thing, we all stand on the shoulders of so many giants. Every one of us here had someone or a few people who showed us the way. It is now our responsibility to show you, and soon it will be your responsibility to show others. That's how we do it in our community. We stand proud and we stand united. Now is the time. Take a stand on issues important to you. Vote if you can, get involved in any way you can. Let's take control of our own destiny. It is our time. And as Dolores Huerta says, sí se puede. Thank you. So now I want to, many of us are visitors here. This land was stolen from indigenous people who are still here and who are still thriving in our communities. It is our duty to honor them. So I want to read our statement. The Center for Community College Partnerships and UCLA acknowledge the Tongva peoples as the traditional land caretakers of Tovanga, the Los Angeles area, and are grateful to have the opportunity to work for the Tarasantam, the indigenous peoples in this place. As a land grant institution, we pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and to our relatives and relations, past, present, and emerging. Next slide. I'd like to ask each of our staff to introduce themselves so you'll get to know who we are. And so we'll start with Santiago.
Hi everyone, my name is Santiago Bernal. First in my family also to go to college. An immigrant from El Salvador. I'm a queer Latino, a proud queer Latino, and I am so happy to be here with you. And thank you, Shelly and her team for putting this together. This looks amazing, this looks beautiful. And this is what the university should always look like. Have a great day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Claudia Salcedo, also a first-generation college student, a proud Chicana, and a proud product of the Coachella Valley. I'm from Indio. If anyone is here from Indio, California, give me a shout out.
Cherry?
Okay. Hi, my name is Cherry Lai. I am the program coordinator for the Peers program. I am also a first-gen student, a single mother of two. Both of my kids are going to college now. But I was a product of CCCP, and I am so glad to see so many faces at this webinar. So I hope we will have a great webinar, and thank you, Chelly, for putting all this together.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Joel Bourne. I am the LAVC program coordinator. I'm also first gen, daughter of South American immigrants. Shout out to Guyana. I am a product of CCP as well, and I am so excited to be here with you all today. It is exciting and electrifying to be in a space with so many amazing scholars and students and just awesome people. So enjoy the day, learn a lot. Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Blanca Canta Hershey and I'm the Office Coordinator at the Center for Community College Partnerships. I graduated in 2014. I am an immigrant myself from Mexico City. So shout out to all of the undocumented scholars out there and all the first geners. And I am excited to be here, and I'm a mother also of a 15-month-old, so 15-month-old baby he's my everything. Welcome to everyone, and we're glad that you're here with us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Cinnamon Mantley. I'm in charge of our Pasadena City College partnership. So I saw you PCC people in the chat, so go PCC. I'm so excited to see everyone. I'm a proud transfer student. I went to Pasadena City College, transferred to UCLA. So I am here to support you. We all are. I didn't get a chance to download the really cool FirstGen background because I don't know if people who are on Twitter saw, but Annabelle escaped. So I'm too distracted by that to download anything, but I just wanted to say I'm really excited to see everyone, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you to Chelly and the team for putting this together. It's beautiful so far, and I'm really excited and grateful to be here. So have a wonderful day.
I don't know if Gabby's here. So Gabriela is our program representative working on summer programs, and she was not able to join us today. And just before we turn it over to Chelly, I just want to say thank you to Chelly for leading our very first Power to the Transfer seminar webinar, and we are excited, and thank you to her and her team. So we'll turn it over to them now.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to my entire team. As you know, we don't do anything alone. It's always a collective. It's always a community. And I'll introduce my amazing team in a little bit. But I just want to welcome you all. Again, I'm Chelly Gonzalez, Program Coordinator here at the Center for Community College Partnerships. I oversee the East LA partnerships. So all my ELAC folks, what's up? I was also a transfer student, FirstGen, oldest daughter of 4 siblings, daughter of immigrants from Guadalajara. My dad, was a gardener and grew up doing landscaping. And I always dreamed of going to a place like UCLA. So I went to Santa Barbara City College, shout out to the 805, and then transferred here. And I've just been, working with community college students and working with transfer students. And I'm just truly passionate about supporting other students like myself, and I really identify and see myself in a lot of you. So this is why we're here, to build community and support you and encourage you and all that good stuff. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And I want to introduce the team. So we can go to the next slide. So part of this team that put this together was Jessica, Blanca, Bessie, Alejandra. So thank you for all of your work. If any of you want to say something. No? Okay. You'll get to know them a little bit later on today. Santi?
I'm pulling it up on my screen. Hold on just a moment, okay? Because I want to make sure I get it right, because this is important for all of us. So give me just 1 second, okay? All right, I'm pulling it up on my screen right now, and here it is. Okay, so we wanted to say to our students and colleagues in the Black community and across the diaspora, we stand with you. And of course, I don't have my video on. Hold on, thank you. Okay, there we go. You are valued and an important member of our campus and off-campus family. We all need to acknowledge the challenges and work to change them. We must work together as people of color and allies, people who are concerned about our future, to eliminate these systematic disparities. We take a stand today and always, because Black lives matter. Please visit our website to read the full and complete statement we have issued about Black Lives Matter. And thank you very much.
Next slide. Blanca, you're muted.
Sorry, I thought I had already unmuted myself. So really fast, we just wanted to let you know that it is clear that we're in the middle of some challenging times, very turbulent times, and it is up to us to help protect each other to ensure that we do everything in our power to stop the spread of this dangerous virus. Do your part, wash your hands, stay home, and if you go out, make sure you wear your mask and stay 6 feet apart from people. Let's work on this together to protect our communities. Thank you.
Hi. Center for Community College Partnership, it's heavily grounded in critical race theory, and we use this as tools to explore disparities along community college educational pipeline and find solutions. The work that we do at CCCP is really based on the social justice pillar of CRT. What that means is that our goal is to influence social change by empowering underrepresented students like ourselves and yourselves in higher education to pay it forward, to lift one another, to organize, to research, and really to tell the narrative of us and our people. So to find out more about CRT, you can refer to the article posted on the registration website. The title is Whose Culture Has Capital? A Critical Race Theory Discussion of Community Cultural Wealth by Tara Yasso. Thank you.
Just a little bit about some guidelines for our sessions. We do ask everyone to keep your mic muted. Click on speaker view when we have our presenters. We encourage you to utilize the chat feature for any questions that you may have. We will be having Q&As for some of these sessions towards the end, but any questions you have in the meantime, please place them in the chat. Thank you. We can skip to the next one.
Hi again, everyone. As we get started, we're jumping right into our first session of the day, and I have the privilege and the pleasure of introducing our first session's keynote speaker, Mr. Jamal Muwakil. Jamal has been a part of the CCP community for the last 6 years as a student in our summer programs, our STP program, shout out to STP, proud alum, as well as a peer mentor at CCP once he transferred, and is now, he is also a Mellon Mays Scholar and is currently in his PhD program in linguistics at UC Santa Barbara, as well as serving as the UC Student Regent. We are very, very proud of Jamal, and we are honored to have him be our keynote speaker today as he continues to remain committed and invested to serving community college transfer students, particularly those from underrepresented backgrounds. And so it is my absolute pleasure to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Jamal Muwakil.
Thank you, Joy, and good morning, everyone. I'm looking to try to share my screen. So if I could get those privileges, I'd appreciate it.
Privilege granted.
Thank you. Continue, and then here, look at that, all right. And we will slideshow and start from beginning. All right, officially starting. Good morning, everybody. Again, it's great to be back amongst family and friends in order to talk on this important topic. My name is Jamal Muwakil, and I use he, him pronouns. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about counter narratives of first-gen transfers on the topic of empty-handed, and that'll become more clear as we go along. So click. So here's my obligatory childhood picture. I think that's part of our presentations to family, is that you kind of got to show when you were little, because you weren't always as big as you are today. I would ask you if you could talk, which one of these fine young gentlemen is me, but people have been getting it wrong recently and I've been insulted. So I'm not gonna put you in that situation. But this is me and my brothers. Sadly, this is a good, exciting picture, but it's also on a sad occasion. This is actually in front of the Sizzlers because Sizzlers was great. On the way back from a funeral where my cousin got shot, lost to the streets. The story is too common, but again, a positive memory from when we were young. That's where we started as young little college kids, but this is a picture of each of our college graduations from me and my brothers. That's me on the bottom left with my younger brother and sister. On the right is my younger brother, Jason. He graduated from Cal State Long Beach. And on the top is my older brother, Najee. He graduated from UC Riverside initially, and then this is his graduation from medical school in Poland. So he's an MD. So I say all of this to say that, no, skip, God dang it. This is my family, right? Like this is the context in which I was kind of raised and reared. This is the people who sold into me, who supported me, who believed in me, who challenged me. And it's for them that I do the work that I do to try to make the world a better place for people like my little niece, Emma, here in the middle. My only niece. She's a sweetheart and a handful, but I'm glad that she's somebody else's kid. I appreciate that. But I get to be the uncle that spoils her and make life hard for her. But I'm trying to make the world as best as I can for her and to her benefit. But this is a two-way street. They affect me, I affect them, and we're all in this together. And I think that's a useful frame for how we'll kind of attack the work going forward. So a bit about my journey. I am from the beautiful city of Compton. I don't know what city you're from, but all I know is that those cities are vying for second best because my city is the best. Fight me. I'm biased, but it's all good. I graduated from high school in 2004, and I transferred in 2014, which is to say 10 years in the game. Sometimes when I say that, people think, you started late, right? So you graduated high school, worked a little bit, did some stuff, and then went to community college. I was in community college the entire time, trying to figure it out, guessing my way through, and sometimes guessing correctly, sometimes guessing incorrectly, and delays were everywhere. During that time period, I worked all the jobs, and I know a lot of us know what that's like. And I attended many CCs. This story doesn't get talked about as much in the community college discourse. We all kind of know how it is if you've been in the game for a minute. Sometimes you take classes and enroll with classes in one place, and then you can't get into the class because you were low on the priority, so you had to crash, and then you got them sometimes and you didn't other times, but then maybe another college opened up later and you were trying to fit it in. So we're hustling, we're trying to make it, we're going through trying to figure it out, and then also trying to work that against our work schedule. So as a part of the idea of attending all the CCs, I started actually at Cerritos College. And then because of that same kind of a frame, I started also at ELAC. And then I went to LACC for the first time. And then work started to get it in the way. So I needed to do online. So I started at Coastline. And then eventually I made my way back to LACC again, where I finally did transfer. But also, I worked all the jobs at the same time, right? This is the important part. Working and school at the same time, trying to give your 100% to each of those endeavors. It's not an easy thing. So we got to consider that this is too many of us, oftentimes our reality that we're dealing with, and we have to make sense of how do we do this in this context. But to give you a sense of the type of work I was doing, I worked in retail to start. I worked at Foot Locker. If anybody's from SoCal, they know the Lakewood Mall. I was working at the Foot Locker in the Lakewood Mall, selling hats. I worked at Disneyland for a time, for a couple of years, actually. It was terrible. But Disney people be Disney people, so they'll love it. You should do that if you like it, but don't right now, it's a pandemic. I worked in the AT&T call center, which was challenging. but it was good. I learned a lot there, and I worked as a credit union bank teller, basically, or whatever. So I worked in a lot of different people-facing jobs, and I learned a lot from that. But all the while trying to juggle school and multitasking things. It was not easy. Um, every time. But let's talk a little bit about what I learned from that time, right? So I could frame that initially as a big negative, having to work full time, having to go to school full time, and that it took forever and it was all bad and all negative. And there were some bad, but it wasn't all bad. And I did learn and grow from there. I learned how to talk to people through that engagement, right? You got to learn how to talk to people when you're talking to them on the phone about their phone not messing up, right? Or how you fix their bill, right? You got to know how to talk to people when they're in line for a long time at Disneyland and they mad at you because their kids is crying and they spent 3 Gs to kind of get here. And they got to wait in line. Like you got to know how to talk to people. And I learned how to talk to people in a lot of different contexts, and that mattered. I learned how to multitask, how to juggle work schedule, school schedule, how to get multiple things done at the same time because I wasn't afforded the luxury to be able to focus on one thing at a time. So it was a learning curve, but I figured it out and it's still a part of me, right? I learned how to have grace under pressure because you can't just pop off because you feel like popping off. You can't just be mad because the next person is wrong. You kind of got to roll with the punches and you got to figure it out. And you got to do so with a sense of decorum about yourself. And I learned how to do that under the height of pressure. So at this point, there's not too much that could fluster me in the world because I've kind of been through the ringer. I learned how to handle money, right? I know I'm not the only one who's had so little money in the bank that you can't even really pull it out. Like you got like $11, right? Like you can't go to ATM and get $11. We learn in these tight situations. I learned in these tight situations how to turn a little bit, not into a lot, but a little bit into enough, right? So that's that hustle mindset that I think all of us have. If you're in community college right now in your first gen, you going if you don't know how to hustle, you're gonna figure it out because you're gonna need to in order to survive. I learned how to work through distractions. Sadly, in some senses it's good, most senses it's bad. You're probably not in a space where it's ever really quiet, right? I didn't really appreciate quiet until I got out here to Santa Barbara, and I was like, holy crap, there's no street noise. There's no helicopters. It's wild. But in your house, you probably have nieces, nephews, cousins, parents, siblings, always noise, especially in this moment where we're having to do Zoom. It's tricky. And so if you needed to have complete, absolute quiet in order to focus, then you probably never get anything done. But right now, you're grinding hard and you're still getting stuff done, even though there's so much stuff that's fighting for your attention and could be easily distracting. But you learn how to work through it because you have to, right? I learned how not to be intimidated by titles. I know when we're all working, sometimes it's very easy to think that a person has a title because they earned it, they outwork you, they're smarter than you, they're better at the thing than you. But I think all of us have had that boss who didn't know what the heck they was talking about. And you realize that the world doesn't always work according to a meritocracy, right? Oftentimes it doesn't at all, ever. So I've been in enough spaces to know that sometimes titles are just titles. People be people. And competence is competence, right? So not to respect titles in that sense. It's not to say that I disrespect titles and the work that people are doing, but it is to say that I don't think that you're better than me just because you have a title that's shiny, right? And I think that works in college specifically, right? To not be intimidated by titles. Respect the game and the work that people do, but you're not lower because you don't have it. Learn how to move comfortably throughout the world, right? This is the idea of having to be able to move from Compton into like the Valley, right? Or Westwood or anywhere else in the world. I can go and I can move in that space, not because I'm better or I'm good. It's because I had to, right? It wouldn't have worked out if I wasn't able to do this. So I developed the skill over time under pressure. And it's good and there's benefits to that every time. So I say all of that to say that was my context before transferring, right? I had to build all of those skills and had to learn all of this stuff. I didn't acknowledge it at the time for what it was, But in hindsight, I can say that's what was happening. I was being formed in this context to be a certain type of person with certain type of skills. But even before I got to the university, and those skills would benefit me while I was there. So while I was there, I did some specific structural things, and this was all due to the help of the Center for Community College Partnerships, who put me on game about the resources that were going to be available to me and how best to take advantage of them once I transferred. So as Jewel pointed out, I did participate in STP, which was an amazing program that really helped me to, one, just kind of see myself on campus, but two, to kind of understand what I was doing and how to do it in a way where I wasn't alone and I could just kind of get the resources that they knew that I would not, it would be unreasonable for me to have without their assistance and their infrastructural support. So that was great. And then the next phase of that was going to be TSP. So after getting the acceptance, participated in TSP, Transfer Summer Program, to really kind of help familiarize and socialize myself into the campus context, which was great. Was every time. I worked for CCCP as the mentor once I transferred as well. I was a beneficiary of CCCP peer mentorship while I was at LACC, and I worked at LACC once I got here as a CCCP mentor to try to help people in the same way that I was helped. I thought it was important to be able to sow back into the community that I benefited from. While I was here at UCLA, I did research through the Mellon Mays Undergraduate Research Fellowship. This is similar to McNair Scholars, but the idea is that it's a program that's helping to diversify the professorate for people who are looking to go to grad school. Not only does it give you some access to resources, to money, but it does give you preparation for undergraduate research so you can be competitive for graduate school if that's something that you're interested in doing. But you should still do research regardless, like legit. Like if you come to the UC, do research. That's not even like an opt-in, it's an opt-out. Like do research as a baseline. So the idea here is that all of the skills that I developed helped me to do all of these things and to be successful in them, right? I will say that my dream was evolving throughout. I didn't think in the 10 years, and mind you, I graduated at 18, I was 28 when I transferred. I didn't think I'd ever do it. And even if I did do it, I didn't know if I was going to be, in a sense, good enough to do it. But I was able to kind of not only just kind of swing it, but to excel at it, not because of the education that I gained in the classroom, right? That was actually like the minimal stuff. I was able to excel in the space because I had the support through people through the infrastructure and the people in the Center for Community College Partnerships, and through all of the skills that I had developed outside of the classroom, in the community and in the space that I was coming from. I was able to kind of bring that into my endeavor to kind of do this thing. And in a lot of ways, this was a lot easier than like being able to engage in UCLA in this high level space was a lot easier than you know, some of the other stuff that I did. I know I have some buddies who were who did well here but wouldn't have done well in Compton. I'm just saying. So this is the idea that this is the way I want to encourage you to think about it, right? It's not that people who are maybe like came in traditional or are in the UC or have a degree or some kind of way better or smarter than you. There's stuff that you bring that they don't have, and you can survive here because of the skills you developed, whereas they may not be able to survive where you're coming from. And I did all of this, again, with a goal to, and successfully did, graduate with honors from UCLA, which is to say I didn't eke through, right? And I would like to encourage you to have that mindset. Don't eke through, don't do the bare minimum. I'm not saying that you, given your cultural competence and your community engagement and the life that you've lived, is enough for you to just kind of barely skate by. I'm saying it's enough for you to thrive. It's enough for you to dominate the space, right? It's enough for you to do better than everybody else in the space because of the person that you've developed in the context that you're coming from. And this is a picture from graduation. I had a lot more ropes and such. I don't do this to stun on you, just saying the idea is that it's not a bare minimum thing. It's a thriving thing. So even after that, again, dreams evolving, because I never thought I'd transfer. When I did transfer, I never thought I'd actually accomplish the goal of of graduating with honors or PhD program. But after that, had to keep on evolving. Once I got into, I graduated in linguistics, applied linguistics, BA in applied linguistics from UCLA. Got accepted into a PhD program at UCSB in linguistics, which is where I am now, PhD candidate in linguistics at UCSB. My second year, still trying to do that strong academic work, but also that strong social work. Served as the second president of the Black Graduate Student Association at UCSB. We revitalized that. It turned out to be the second longest serving. Well, right now, the BGSA is the longest graduate affinity group on campus, like in the history of it, in its 5th year. While I was here, I also consulted on and helped with the API GSA, the Asian and Pacific Islander Graduate Student Association, which is the second longest standing graduate affinity group on the campus, as well as the Queer and Trans Graduate Student Association. So again, I say all this to say that we're all in this together. It's not about, you know, one versus another. It's all about us together. So that's the first, second, and third longest standing affinity group, graduate affinity groups on campus. And we're all in the same community together doing the same work. So it's dope. Also serving at the UC Student Regent. Ask me about that if you care more about it. Suffice it to say that it's there's only one per year in the entire UC, and that's me. This is my Regent picture. What are your skills? What are the skills that you developed in your life journey? I told you a little bit about the skills that I developed in my life journey. I want you to be reflective. What are some of the skills that you developed in your life journey, right? Are you multilingual or multidialectal? I like to make sure that we're clear on the multidialectal. Sometimes we talk about this idea of code switching, and as a linguist, I'm a bit more detail oriented in that regard. But can you communicate with different types of people in different kinds of ways? That's of value in the university and in the university space. How comfortable are you with some uncertainty, right? Typically, if you're in the space as a first-gen community college student, you're not sure about what's going on and where you're headed. Not 100% sure. You know that you got passion, you want to press forward, but you don't really know how this is going, but you still show up, right? That's of merit, right? Showing up with uncertainty and not clarity, but trying to figure it out as you go. There's merit there to the university context. Are you resourceful, right? Can you make something work? Right? Like a lot of people who are maybe mechanically inclined or handy people, or just kind of, people who get stuff done, can take stuff that maybe you know what the goal is and you know what you need to accomplish. And then you also know what would be ideal to have, but then you also know what it is that you do in fact have. Can you make it work? Is that the reputation that you have as a person? Can you make it work? That's gonna serve you quite well in the university context. But also, I want you to consider just given the life that you've lived, the challenges that you've faced, and what you've already overcome, what can break you? Given as strong a person as you are, all the challenges you had, what do you think can dissuade you and stop you from pressing forward, right? I would think it's very few things can break you. So the university context is nothing to a boss, right? You got it. You just kind of got to go in with that confidence and utilize your resources and your community to make sure that you can kind of press forward and that you have everything that you need. Almost wrapping up here. The university has what you need, and not have the university needs what you have, right? They need you. It's not the other way around. It's not the case that you come as beggars asking the university for something. You have something in you that you bring to the university to make it a better place than it would be without you. You come as highly competent, versatile, persistent, culturally competent agents who make the classroom more legitimate by your presence, not the other way around. If the goal of the university is to educate the people, you're the people. And to have an educational context or a classroom without you is illegitimate. It is not doing what it's proposed to do. So your presence benefits the university classroom. And so you don't come in asking for favors. It's about you. Everything you need in order to get to and through the university is already in the community, right? You have at the highest levels, even in CCCP specifically, you have at the highest levels deep competence, deep expertise, people who know a lot about the things that you might be interested in. You don't need to go and ask anybody else outside of the space for stuff that you don't already have present within the space. So your community is well established. The knowledge runs deep. As Alfred said earlier, we stand on the shoulders of giants in the space. And so it's all really here. You just have to access it. And also it's the other way around. So the community is here for you to prop you up, but the community also needs you to be the best you can be. We don't need you to phone it in. We don't need you to drag your feet. We don't need you to think that you already made it. As dope as you are, there's still more work to do. So we need you to do that good work and to be the best you can be, and then show back up to the community so that you can encourage the next group of folks behind you to come through and be the best them they can be. This is how we build over the course of time, right? This is a long-term project, not a short-term. It's not just about you in isolation. It's about us over time, and we all have a part to play. Parting wisdom, last point, and then I'm gonna open up to Q&A because I really want to hear from you and answer the questions that you may have. This is my good buddy. We're good buddies now. Jonathan Rosa, he's a recently tenured professor at Stanford in their education department. He tweeted this last night and I thought it was super apt. So I want to just read it. Some message to FirstGen college students. So FirstGen college students newly radicalized around various structures of power. Engage critically but humbly with your families and communities by honing your ability to recognize their theories and analyses rather than imposing your scripts on them. You come from tremendous knowledge. What I'm hearing from this is this idea of saying when you engage in college, rather at the community college level or in the UC or wherever it is that you end up, you're gonna learn some things, right? You're gonna have names for certain phenomena and you're gonna be able to name those things and engage in those things, problematize some things in the community, and you're gonna direct those lenses, those analytical lenses at the people closest to you first, and you're gonna find some problematic stuff, and that is true. With that said, it doesn't mean that you should discount the cultural frame or the historical knowledge that comes from the people that are closest to you. There's reasons why they are where they are, and it's not to justify some of the more problematic things, but it is to give homage to the reality that they made it through in a context that may have broken you. So we have to respect and be humble as we actively engage with our community to benefit it, to benefit them, and to benefit ourselves and our future. Can't be arrogant in this space as we come to know, as sometimes the most educated people in our families. We can't be arrogant in that knowledge, in that engagement. We have to be kind and humble because we're all in this together. All right, that's all I got for now, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you for your attention. How do I I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing if that's cool, and I don't know how we facilitate questions, but if anyone were to be interested in volunteering.
I actually have a couple of questions if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, please.
So I'm just gonna start my video really quick. So hi, first off, my name is Steven. I'm actually at ELAC's Puente program. I'm a first generation college student, half Mexican American from the city of Pico Rivera. And I kind of was really relating heavily to what you and Mr. Herrera were saying about making the transition to a college environment as a person of color and going from that environment where you deal with distraction to you deal with, being one of the only few people of color in the room oftentimes. What I was curious about is how you made that transition and how comfortable or discomfortable was it? And how exactly did you go from being in one environment that's so familiar and then not feeling that imposter syndrome that when you're on UCLA or UC Santa Barbara or Berkeley or another campus that you feel like you can belong? Because for me personally, that's been one of the things that I honestly have been the most discouraged by.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for that question. I appreciate it, Stephen. And you mentioned the idea of imposter syndrome, which I take an interesting orientation to, right? So as it relates to imposter syndrome, my thought is acknowledge it and move on, right? It's real, but it's not just you, it's everybody. It's not your fault. It's actually like the point, like this meritocratic frame, this neoliberal meritocratic frame kind of does this thing that says that everyone else deserves where they are. They got there because they earned it, they worked harder for it, and they worked harder than you. But I think if we look at our fine president, 45, I don't think that anyone imagines that Trump works harder than any of us. And so we can look at that and just kind of dismantle that frame. And that really helped me going forward, not just that specific thing, but the idea of saying that I learned that histories and stuff outside of me and my individual action kind of set up people for the situation that they were in. I learned that through some of the opportunities that I had to work in some of the industries that I did, but also once I got into the university and saw that there were some people who knew a lot of stuff about some things, but nothing about other things. And I learned and I figured out that my expectation, the people expected me to know everything about everything. So if I was a first gen, poor Compton kid, I was expected to know everything about Black people. I was expected to know everything about poverty. I was expected to know everything about, oppression, African-American history, all of that stuff. And then also everything else about linguistics, right? Because that was my neighbor, right? I had to know it all the time. And if I drop the ball at any point, then I'm messing up. I'm messing up for everybody. And no one else had this burden. None of my peers had this burden. They could just focus in on the thing that they chose to study and then expected to be ignorant, reasonably ignorant about everything else. And I realized that this is actually not a fair situation to be set up in. The situation is set up so that I do feel worse about my situation. But this was the frame before I got here. This was going to be my reality. So my approach to that is accept it. This is going to be the frame. I'm set up to fail, but I'm not gonna. I get to choose how I engage with it. So the point is, you know more than you think. You know more than they think you know. The idea is to kind of to embrace that idea, and the other stuff will come. Like you'll figure it out. Like you'll be surprised at how well prepared you are to engage in those spaces because of the other skills that you developed outside of it.
So the essential transition could be thought of as not letting other people make expectations of you, but figuring out your own expectations.
Absolutely. Set your own goals. Don't tell them what you're supposed, they don't get to tell you what you're supposed to know and do. Like you tell them what you need for them to do.
So the trick is to not be defined by other people, but define yourself and what you're doing with your experiences and your expectations.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I don't know how much time we have left, but if we do have time, I'm willing to take up other questions.
Sure, we can open it up for maybe one or two more questions. I know you also have a couple other things. Any questions for Jamal? You can either say it out loud or put it in the chat.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. So I'm personally like really inspired by all this. It's kind of breathtaking. And I just, it seems so impossible to just go somewhere, especially because of this pandemic and like all this, like school is really hard now. So like, how did you like, because you went to all these like programs and you found it all. So is it to just keep going and not stopping, or like, how do you know your limits, or like, how did you like persevere? Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think it kind of ties into that initial question, right? The idea of setting your own goals. Because setting your own goals is independent of your own time, of a timeline, right? I think sometimes we get kind of derailed because we feel like we're not where our peers were, or where we would have liked to have been at this point in our life, like this type of situation. So again, I like to just remind people that I was 28 before I transferred. I graduated at 30, right? Now, this is still a lot younger than than a lot of us, but it's a lot older than some of us. And I remember at the same time, I remember seeing people who transferred at 24 who were really kicking themselves, right? They were like, oh, I'm so bad. Like I drag my feet and everyone else is, they're already graduated and they're like working their jobs and I feel so bad. And I'm like, damn, if you feel bad, I should feel terrible. I don't, but I should, I guess. Under that same model, the idea is everyone has to walk their own journey. No one else has to live your life and deal with the situation that you have to deal with. You get to set your own timeline. But the goal about persistence, I think, is setting the goal and not just kind of doing this whole like, I think I can, like little engine that could thing, but actively engaging with the resources that are there for you to be able to accomplish the goal that you set for yourself. I want to say that it may not feel this way. I feel bad even saying this. It may not feel this way. California has the best higher education system in the world. Like California at all levels, CC, CSU, UC, by far, heads and shoulders, best. It's still crappy, but it's better than everywhere else by far. So you are, as a California student in higher education in California, you are some of the most resourced students in the world. The issue sometimes that I encounter is sometimes we don't fully engage with those resources, right? So I would ask questions like, how often do you engage with the transfer center? Like, how often do you ask questions in classes? When there's an outreach seminar, do you show up for it? I want to be clear to kind of put just to hedge on the fact that we're in COVID and this pandemic, and this is all very different, and we're all doing this at the same time and trying to figure it out. So that's a new difficulty. But the issues are still present, right? You still kind of have access to people in a different way, but it's still there. Do you hit them up? If I said to you, which I'm saying to you, please email me if you have any questions you want to chat or if I can help you in any way. Will you do that? History has said, no, you probably won't. But the idea is that you can. So my encouragement is do the things that you can do, get the support that you need in order to get to where you're going. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be a lot of distractions, a lot of stuff that's popping. And that's fair, right? And it's not easy. It never has been easy. It's tough. But you have other folks whose job it is to help you, who want to help you, who came before you, who are willing to kind of engage with you. Let them help you by reaching out and being active and by showing up. And this there's 131 people here today. Like, you all showed up today in a time that you could have just not, right? You could have just turned on Netflix. You could have took a walk outside and you would have been well within your rights, but you chose to show up today. To engage the resources. And this can be a strong first step into accomplishing those goals that you set for yourself. So kudos to you all for that. And thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. It was really helpful. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So thank you, Jamal, so much for joining us this morning. You are so amazing, so powerful. We love you so much. Thank you for all that you're doing for our community and for just being yourself. You're really amazing and honest and all that good stuff. So thank you for joining us and sharing some of your knowledge and your info with our students. We're really, truly grateful.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Anytime, of course. And again, you all have my email, my Twitter, or whatever. Hit me up if I can do anything else in the future. This is a joy for me. So thank you all. Thank you, Chelly. Thank you, Jewel, and the rest of the team. I appreciate y'all. And I will see you all later.
Yes, Jamal for 2024. It's happening. We've already decided who's part of your cabinet. We're doing it. It's a thing. Yes.
Call me.
I've been saying this since undergrad, so it's like a thing.
Sometimes you just got to do it, and we're doing it. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. So up next, we're going to introduce our panelists. So we're going to move on to our panel session. and they're here to share some of their info and their knowledge. So we'll go ahead and pull those slides up. Oh, hold on one moment. Let me go up to our slides. Here we go. So we're going to I'll introduce them briefly, and then I'm gonna stop share and then just ask them to introduce themselves a little bit more and let you know a little bit more about them. For this portion, if you do have any questions, I have a set of questions that I wanna ask them, but of course, anything you wanna know, please put it in the chat, and we'll take your questions from there. So part of our panel, we will have Alejandro Juarez Ugalde. He's a transfer student from Mount SAC to UCLA, Chicanx Studies major. We also have the pleasure of having Linnell Edwards join us, who's also a Mount SAC transfer student, sociology, and he's doing amazing things now, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that. We also have Genesis Sanchez. Genesis transferred from East LA to UCLA. Her majors are Chicanx and Central American Studies and Labor and Workplace Studies with a minor in education. And we also have Shannon Sayula. She transferred from El Camino and Compton College to UCLA, and she's a study of religion and education majors. So we can have them join us.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, so we can go ahead and get started. And if you can tell us a little bit about yourselves, your name, your major, anything that I didn't mention, anything you want to share with our participants. We'll go ahead and get started with Alejandro.
I want to share that it's an honor to be here today, right? I'm blessed to be in the presence of all of y'all. All of you are great. All of you are so powerful individuals. You know, you woke up today, you know, and you're here today. And I'm really happy to be in this panel with these three powerful individuals and amazing people. That's it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for introducing me, Chelly, and thank you all for being on this call today. It's really exciting to be in this Zoom room with all you first generation students and advocates. Like Chelly said, my name is Shannon Sayula. I am part Mexican and part Samoan. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here with you all.
Thank you. Linnell?
Hello, everyone again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the invitation. I've been waiting to be a panelist on some platform. I hate that it's over Zoom, but you know, COVID-19 kind of taking away a lot of things. I didn't put too much information on the little slide, but I transferred from Mount SAC as a kinesiology major. And then when I was at UCLA, sociology major. Now I'm at Berkeley doing my master's in education. So I'm going to be starting my second year once we start school again.
Great, thank you for joining us. Genesis?
Hi everyone, I'm excited to see like all of y'all community college students. I just want to let y'all know that, you know, we're here now, but we were like in your shoes like before, like probably like, let's say like from 2 years ago. So like, who knows where you'll be like 2 to 3 years from now. I would also say like take in your community college experience. I feel like it's, even though it's a hustle and there's so many like barriers and obstacles that come along with that path, just really like honor like your struggle and really like honor like all your energy that you're putting into. I want to tell you that your education is valid, and I feel sometimes for community college students that can be really hard because you're not validated because of your education, because you know the existing community college stigma. It's kind of going down now a little bit more, but it's still really relevant. And then when you're asking for hours at your workplace to adjust to your school, you're not considered really a worker. So we're kind of in this limbo of like status in regards to like social status and how we like navigate really our education really early into higher education. But thank you all for being here, and thanks for investing into your education.
Yes, and thank you all for joining us. So kind of let's get right into it. And I would like this to be as much of a conversation as possible, right? So we're here with 120 of our closest first-gen transfer student friends. And so let's share some of that knowledge. So thinking about when you entered the community college, right, as a first-gen student, what were some of the challenges that you faced? Does anyone want to go in first? Do you want me to call you in?
I can go. For me, I had a lot of challenges because I'm a veteran. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. So after I got out, I was stationed in Camp Pendleton. I don't have family here. So one of the biggest challenges was, where am I going to go to school at? I wasn't familiar with community colleges in the area. I just happened to ask someone, hey, what are some good schools? They said Mount Sac. I was like, okay, I'm thinking about going to Mount Sac. I had a friend, he was living in Riverside. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Riverside City College and be his roommate. But the living situation didn't work out. I ended up applying to Mount Sac, finding a place. That was also a challenge. Like, where was I going to live? How was I going to pay for rent? So it was, I think I had more complications before school happened than school actually started. And I always had this self-doubt, in the back of my head, like, I was a poor high school student. Will that affect me in college? How is college? What are the expectations? How do I become a great college student if I was a poor high school student? All those things were in the back of my head. I was a little intimidated going to college. I was fearful of failing because I knew I was going to have to take remedial courses. What if I failed them? What if I failed out of school? What's going to happen? So I had a lot of questions and just a lot of challenges.
Thank you for sharing.
Kind of made a list right now. Thinking like the first day when I was going to ELAC. I actually applied to ELAC like the week before the fall was like closing classes, because I thought I was gonna go to UC Merced straight out of high school, but I didn't know how to access loans or work around financial aid because I am a first generation student, and I fill out my own FAFSA. I don't know if that's like I have to like make the emails. Like, I'm not asking my parents for help to fill it out at all. So I think one of the first ones was even adding classes, understanding the catalog and how to add classes, what classes I need to take, how to make an appointment with a counselor, bus money, like finding out like where I was gonna get my bus money from and how to take the bus. So I'm like the oldest like daughter in like the household. So like for me to even go outside, that was like a hassle, like when I went to participate in extracurricular activities, they wanted to give me curfews to tell me to come back, or that it was too late. And like, if you know. And also going through the financial aid verification process as well. I didn't receive my financial aid until like my second semester at ELAC. And, that like I had no help whatsoever. So it was sometimes really like asking the bus driver to just let me please like ride the bus for free because I didn't have those funds, which adds a lot of stress on top of like also trying to like figure out college on top of it. And navigating the stigma, of course, as well, especially like at least I feel for folks who are here in the Southeast or East LA area, like ELAC just didn't have this like cred that it has now, or at least amongst older folks, it's still very like, oh, like if you go there, you'll stay there. And I feel like that was So that wasn't really helpful for me, like when I was like trying to believe in myself and my dreams. And that's why I'm also very thankful for CCP for being the first ones to believe in my education.
If I may, oh no, go ahead, sister.
No, I was just gonna say thank you for sharing. Yes, but go ahead.
For me, my biggest challenge was so what I want to share is like I'm a continuation high school graduate. If there's any continuation high school students in this, in this group chat, please, put it in the group chat, give us some love. But for those that don't know what a continuation high school is, it's basically a credit recovery high school. So it's like an alternative high school when students are like really bad in high school, right? So I had literally straight Fs my first 2 years of high school. So I wasn't the best student, already coming out of high school, right? I barely scraped by. But my last 2 years, I got my stuff together and basically did like 4 years of high school in 2 years, right? But basically those schools aren't really meant for students to go into higher education, right? They're made just to barely graduate high school, right? So my biggest thing was like getting to Mount Sac, my community college, and seeing no one from my high school, not knowing anyone, right? Not having kind of like when you do go to community college, you might find someone from your high school or from your community or someone that has that educational experience that you had, right? But no one did. No one really knew what it felt like to be educationally neglected, right? Because I see that as an education neglect when you put a student in a continuation. So, basically saying, hey, you're not good enough in our high school, so we're going to send you somewhere else, right? But that was really tough, right? Knowing that no one came from where I came from, my school and stuff like that. So I needed to find that. I needed to look for those people. And every so now and then, I found like a sprinkle of a couple continuation students. And what we did, we connected and we made sure that we helped each other. We supported each other, right? We got together, we ate lunch together, we talked about our experiences because it's its own experience. And many of you may have some of those experiences. Maybe you may not be a continuation student, but you shared an experience with someone, right? Life experience, educational experience, right? Someone said independent study, graduate, maybe some of you went into independent, all that. That's important to keep it together and keep yourself like glue, right? And keep yourself grounded and why you got to keep moving forward. That's it. Thank you.
And for me, I think I can echo a lot of the experiences from our previous panelists, but I know me specifically, my biggest challenge was family, which it sounds weird because they're also my biggest motivator, First, like I said, I'm Samoan, so on my maternal side, my mom has 9 siblings, and out of all those, there's like 63 grandkids and great grandkids, and I'm the first. I'm the first to finish community college, first to even, well, not even try, but finish it and then transfer. So it was one pressure. I felt this pressure that, of course, I had to finish, but also I didn't really have no one in the family to kind of look to or mirror. And that was just tough because our family is very close and they're the only people I hang out with. So that's who I'm with all the time. That's whose actions I'm mirroring, and just not being able to talk to them, it was difficult. But then at the same time, looking at them and thinking, okay, I'm doing this for you. Looking at my little cousin or my little sister or my cousins who, are trying to get a scholarship or something like that, straight out of high school, that is what helped push me. But in the same sense, that is what kind of made it difficult for me because I didn't have those figures to look at until I started, making those connections at the community college, like Alex was saying, finding those people who were like me, who shared similar backgrounds that I can look to and that I would be able to kind of partner up with and ride this journey out together with.
Yes, thank you for sharing. So we know as first gen students, we face a lot of challenges and there's always the unknowns, right? We're the first ones navigating this space. But what are some of the things that have helped you and have built your resiliency as first gen students? Like what are some of those skills that maybe you developed because you were first gen that have now really served you in thriving?
I can go first. For me, it was definitely community, and part of that is like community organizing as well. So I was able to get involved in like organizing and learn organizing, and luckily, like in East LA, like with a lot of folks there, and just other students, like so student activism and student organizing. It was just like really a strong community. We were able to support each other, and we're always echoing here at CCP also, that your biggest resource is your community members, your biggest resource is your peers and those around you. So I think definitely being in community organizing spaces and building community like got me through like the unknown, because there's also what is it called? I'm gonna call it Chisme Capital for now, but it's like when you're in community college and the folks around you are in the same setting as you are, but you find out that there's free lunch at this like cafeteria or this meeting, and so you share that information with one another, and then it keeps going on. So it's just having a community where everyone is always exchanging information and resources is what really got me through community college. Just all that talk and all that community spaces. Yeah, social capital, navigational capital, yes.
For me, it was basically networking, right? But networking with specific people, right, on campus, like finding out who to talk to and making sure I check in with them, right, weekly or monthly or whatever it may be, and building those connections, because as first gen, we don't have like our parents, right, or great grandparents, right, or siblings or whatever, right, that went to that university and tell us, hey, you need to go talk to that person, right, or something like that, or let me connect you with my good old friend, the professor, right? Like, nah, my mom doesn't know any professors. Like, she knows, like, she knows the fellow workers, but so we needed to find those people. So basically was like making sure I reach out to my professors and build connections with them, right? Mentoring, finding mentors, femtors, and demtors, right? And making sure that I connect with them, and that I also not only keep them to myself, but share them, right? Share those mentors, share those people, right? And telling them, hey, like you should really go talk to Jim, right? Jim Ocampo from admissions, or go talk to this person, right? And passing down those big people on campus that could help you get a job, that could help you find food, that could help you, with starting your organization and all that different type of stuff. So it would be networking. I think that was one of the best assets, and how to speak to people.
I think I agree with Alejandro too. Speaking to people was something that looking back now, is something that I've been able to kind of capitalize on, social capital. Because when you think about it, when you're in community college and, there's professors there and you like want to talk to them, like I would have friends in the class that are like, I don't know what to say to them. Like, I don't know what to talk to, like how to talk to them or something, and kind of feeling, I guess, a little maybe intimidated about how to approach someone. But I think I gained my talking skills. Well, I'm sounding all crazy right now, but talking skills from being like a cashier at a boba shop. And I worked at this calling center too, like Jamal. And I don't know, just like being open and being able to just say what you need to say to people, to use that way to communicate definitely helped me in community college, because I was able to just go up and say, hi, how can I do this? How do I do this? And sometimes it just takes that step for us of courage to just have that confidence to do it. Yeah, using your voice, asking for help, very true.
I agree with everything that was said. Networking was very vital and important for my success as a community college student, undergrad student, and even now as a master's student. And believe it or not, I just did the math. I've known Alejandro for 5 years. We met basically like 5 years ago in the fall through a like mentorship networking event. I met one person, that one person knew this other person, that one person knew everyone else. And that's how we were able to connect and continue to build community at the community college which eventually, led him and I to UCLA and continue to build a connection elsewhere, wherever we go. So networking is very, very, very key. And time management, learning how to schedule within school, that's a very vital skill to practice and learn.
Yes, thank you. So in terms of, as you were preparing for your transition from the community college to the 4-year, what was that experience like, particularly being the first one in your family to do that and now attend a 4-year university, particularly for those of you that maybe moved away from home? I know as first-gen students and some of us being the oldest in our families, we have a lot of familial responsibilities. So what was that like for you, and what was that like for your family and the folks that are close to you?
For me, it's a little different. I was already away from home. I moved away at 19, but I still had somewhat of, I had to support my family in other ways. That was being a mentor, sometimes financially. So I had to, help my mother out, my sister out. And another way is just knowing that their child is safe or their sibling is safe. So it was the safety measure. I had, like, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you in a while. Had to do check-ins. Also, dang, I forgot the question. What was the question again?
Like transitioning from community college to the 4-year, and a lot of us, like the familiar responsibilities and things like that, like how do you bring your family into the transfer process, the transition?
Oh, it was weird because my mother, she thought that I was at a 4-year from the beginning. So she was like, oh, why are you going to school again? I thought you finished school already. And I had to tell her, like, no, I was at a community college. It's only 2 years. I'm going to be moving. And I had to just basically teach them what are the different types of colleges and why am I transferring and what's next for me.
I see some nods. Anyone want to contribute to that?
I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. So yeah, like a lot, like how they mentioned, it's like having to explain to your parents over and over again, like what you're doing in community college and what that means. For me, like, I'm like a first-gen, like queer Chicanx, like oldest daughter. So a lot of the times it was like me, like having to fight and like, like they'll tell me something, like they'll say, no, you can't do that. Or like, and it's like, I'm going to do it anyways. Like it does, like, I'm just going to go for what I want. And, it was a lot of the times like just like defending my education and like just my freedom to expand. Like I don't just want to be a student, I want to be like X, Y, and Z. I want to do all of these activities. Like, hey, like, by the way, I'm not going to be here this weekend, I'm going to go to a conference. A lot of the times it was that, and like navigating like permission in like households and like just very traditional things that are put up on like Chicanas and Chicanxes. So it was navigating a lot of that. But I think as soon as they were able to start seeing, like, I think CCP did a good job when they had like their family parties and just kind of introducing them into like higher education. That helped a lot with the conversation. But yeah, I think honestly it got easier once like I was actually applying to transfer. It was like, oh, okay, like I see where you're at now, or like now that I am a UCLA student, like everything makes a lot more sense. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of trying to get them involved and explain to them like what I'm doing. But it was also a lot of the times like, just going against the no, going like against the like, just going anyways and just doing what I want to do because, my parents had the time to do what they wanted with their lives and now it's my turn. And if I'm like securing like the bag and I'm like providing, then I should also be able to, you know, spend all time. It's like I'm spending all day at school organizing. Like I'm not, you know, and even if I was, you know, I should be able to do that. But it was definitely a lot of like defending my education, but also a lot of great moments where I was able to get them involved as well. I even got my mom on a panel recently to talk about her experience being like a mother of someone who is like navigating community college. And it's like, yeah, so it happens and it grows, and it's just being patient with, you know, with the folks around us to like also grow. And that's my biggest thing with my mom mostly is I want her world to change, and I want her to know that she doesn't have to stop learning at any point. Like she can keep learning and she can keep growing. Like her life never ended at her having children at all. Like she can definitely still grow with me.
I think what Jen said was super powerful, right? Involving like her mother in that experience, right? And like bringing her to the university, I could definitely attest to that. Like you have to bring your family like to the community, you know, to the university, to the community college. Like anytime I could and I had the opportunity, I brought my mom, I brought my brother, I brought my grandma, my abuelita, all old, walking through campus, through Jan steps and all that, you know. Like I brought my little nieces, nephews, like I brought the whole neighborhood, you know, because that's what we have to do when we have, you know, when we're like the first in our families. We have to expose our little ones, we have to expose our older ones, right? And it like doesn't matter how many times I needed to explain what was I doing. Like, you know, it was a privilege to like share with them that, you know, what I've acquired in that time, right? And also learning from them, right, and their experiences on their like education route, right? Some of them didn't make it to middle school, some of them didn't make it, you know, barely finished elementary, and just understanding why and all that type of stuff, and kind of allowing me to move forward. But definitely, you know, like involving your family members with the university and stuff like that. It was a little difficult for me too, because not all the time my parents could, my mom could be there, or my like grandma, like I said, and stuff like that. So I needed to build a community, especially because back home I had like, you know, my father was like in charge of you know, a group of, he was like a leader, a community leader, like an indigenous circle leader. You know, so and every week we would meet together to like practice, to have ceremony, to dance, you know, to do our culture. He's actually right here, right in front of me right now. Like, I have a picture of him when we were younger right there. That's my papa, right, who's right in front of my desk. But like that stuff, that the culture that I practice, like danza azteca, I needed to create that community at UCLA and at community college. So I found people that, you know, we would practice ceremony together, and, you know, and kind of like really bring me home. Like, right, like my spirit, take it to back to La Puente, where I was living at and practice ceremony. So it was building it somewhere else and finding my family there and community.
I think something that struck me with my experience that Alex said was that, you know, sometimes your family you can't be there. You can't like travel to the community college. Maybe it's because of work or because of something else. But right as soon as, I think it was like a month after, I mean, a month before I was going to transfer to UCLA, my dad actually got really sick, and he was in the hospital for like basically the whole first quarter. So it was just kind of a weird transition for me, because one, like family is already always first, and then it's like to put someone like so crucial in your life, like in that, like, you know, is literally in the hospital bed and dealing with like UCLA and family, and just, I don't know, all of the first gen struggles that we deal with was difficult for me. But I'm gonna sound like I'm mimicking what Alex said, but it was definitely the community that I built for myself, or that was built for me through CCCP, that kept lifting me up and showing me what to do and how to do it.
Yes, so I know we're we're at our closing of our first session, but I really wanted to know, or what are some kind of like words of wisdom that you have for all of our first gen community college students that are joining us here today? Like, what's one thing that you want to make sure that they know, that you want to leave with?
I'll say something really quickly. I just think it's important as first-gen students and community college students that we are very reciprocal in everything we learn. So once you learn something, pass it on to your classmates, your community, whoever it may be. Because you think about yourself, you at one point you didn't know something, but someone shared it with you, or you figured it out somehow. So just continually just give, even if you think it's like, oh wow, like I should have known that, I should have known how to sign up for classes. Like, no, some of us are really struggling with these systems that the community college or the university puts in place. Like some people still don't know how to, sign up for classes on their own. So definitely continue to just give back that information that you find and that you figure out.
You can go. Or I can go next. So I think in short, like a quote would be, if you want to travel far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. Just like something that also CCP always echoes, like the institution will try to make you feel like everyone's against each other, that you're in competition, that the person next to you is your competition, but that's not the reality at all. I think as you go higher, as you climb, you should also take folks with you as well. And just always ground yourself in that, because the institution is violent and your community is going to be there for you outside of it, because you're only there for 4 years or 2 years or 3 years, so it's not your whole world at all.
I would just say, what were you gonna say?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just be ready for growth. It's going to happen regardless. Accept it, enjoy it, embrace it. Find your support. And also, I was thinking this before the panel started. I'm a self-proclaimed millionaire, rich in thoughts, knowledge, and experience. So come as you are and understand that these new spaces, bring what you have, because they are needed just as much as you may think you need the space.
Yeah. You heard everybody, right? Lionel's a millionaire. So if anyone needs, a loan, or if anyone needs some money or some thoughts, right? We know who to call up. No, but to me, I would just tell, my advice to y'all would be to be patient with yourself, to love each other, right? To take the time to like reflect, right? So I would really recommend y'all to write your experience right now, right? It doesn't have to be, essay format, body paragraph and thesis. Nah. Just write how you're feeling, write your journey, because your journey is so unique and so powerful and so beautiful, right? Like it's gorgeous. All of y'all are gorgeous, because there's beauty in the struggle, and all of y'all are beautiful, right? So write it down, talk to it with someone, just like how we're doing right now, right? With all these amazing panelists that I have. These are all my homies. These are my friends, like for life, right? We're basically having a conversation just about our experience, and we're comforting each other in that process, and also beginning a healing process, right? Because Genesis said it, great, powerful. The university is violent, right? And just elaborating on that, right? Like violent, it's that these universities weren't really built for us, right? When they first started, when they first initiated, the first universities in the world were only for, people that priest, right? Male priests, straight, right? Cis, hetero, gen people, right? And people of higher income, right? Only the rich had access to education. And, as times have changed, right? Now we're seeing that universities are allowing more students like us here, right? So it is, in a sense, of violent, right? And many other factors, but we have to find, peace and also transform that university and create our own universities and institutions for our communities to learn and grow, right? And that's the importance of coming back to our community. But write, express yourselves, right? Share community, and also, you know, don't forget to give yourself some time and space and bring someone up with you, you know, when you're done, bring your cousins with you, you know. That's like that we won't be the only first gens, right? Like that we could start changing those numbers and hopefully, you know, have our great grandchildren up in these institutions and getting high money and changing the world and all that. Yeah.
Drop the mic. Yes, Alejandro. Thank you all so much for sharing. I know we're out of time, so I don't want to hold people back, but if there is like one burning question from any of our guests, I do want to just offer a space for students to ask a question or two. If you do need to log off for other responsibilities, thank you for joining us. So if our panelists can hold on for like a minute or two, see if there's any questions. You can either put them in the chat or just say it out loud.
I had a question. I want to like really thank Alejandro for pointing out that these institutions were not necessarily built for everyone, and I think that that's a really powerful statement. I do have a question about like once you're on campus, once you're participating, once you're working basically with other students, like how do you then navigate a system that isn't necessarily like yours? How do you make space for yourself, whatever the field you want to go into? Because I want to go into STEM, and that's being a Chicana, like a first gen. There aren't many people that represent me in that space. Like how do I then make my own space? And I don't like and you know, make that situation my strength rather than my weakness. Oh, you're muted.
I said, Ash, thank you so much for that question. I think, you know, my fellow peers could also speak to that too. But, you know, in that, right, it is difficult, and recognizing that we're not the first ones to do this type of work, right? To put the first brick in this building, right, of this university. So there's this university that wasn't built for us, right? But what we're doing, right, as first gen, as students of color, as LGBTQ community, we're creating our own little buildings, right, inside of those institutions, right? And there's generations, right, of people that have been laying down bricks already for us to feel a space in the university, right? For example, at UCLA, you know, we have that saying, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants, right? There's freedom fighters and university fighters that way long before me, when I came into UCLA in 2018, you know, we're already putting in work for first gen, for students of color, right? There's Bunchy Carter, John Huggins, right? Lanell, right? My brother that's right here, right? All these different university and student, you know, powerful students that started laying the foundation for it to be easier on me, right? All we do is pick up those tools and we start building it again. So we organize, right? The tool to really make sure that, you know, we have a space, like how you're saying, you're a STEM, you're a Chicana, is you pick up those tools and you find other people that can help you, you know, build a space from first gen for STEM, you know, women in STEM, you know, and all that type of stuff. So you got to organize, you got to mobilize, and you have to demand the university to make a space. That's unfortunate, right? That we have to do that's our job. We're students. We already have the burden of teaching, right? But I could tell you that it's a fight we're fighting for, right? Because for future generations to come, and when they get there, they have a building, right? That brick that you first laid down, right? Now is now a house, right? For those students, for, you know, Chicanas in STEM, right? At your university. So, you know, you got to make sure you make those power moves and get that together. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. How will CCP help students? Because I'm the first generation student and I'm not quite familiar with CCP programs, but I want to get to UCLA for now. I'm transferring next year into fall 2021. And I applied for CCP during the spring. I got an email like a week or 2 weeks ago saying that CCP program is suspended. So now I'm not quite sure how will CCP help students. And I'm done with my question.
Yes, so we will still be supporting students. We won't have, because we weren't able to offer like our residential summer programs and the programs that we would normally offer this summer. So this is one way to engage with our students by providing these webinars. And we will be following up with everyone that has registered and engaged with our center as we continue with the fall and the next academic year about additional support, additional mentoring opportunities. We'll be working closely with like the UC application and the PIQ session coming up in the fall. So there's still ways to get connected and get support from our center. If anyone does have like questions for like transferring or just needs guidance, you can always contact our office via email or phone. We're still here, we're still servicing students and answering all those questions. And then we'll be following up in the fall about what kind of like how we're moving forward for the next academic.
How CCP help students, because I'm not quite familiar with the CCP program at all. And I want to know, does it help with transferring?
We're a mentoring component. So we help students by giving them information and resources and guidance in terms of how they need to prepare to transfer.
So how can I know I'm a part of CCP or not?
So for this year, we're not really doing a cohort. We're just servicing students as we're able.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And I do see a hand, Deborah.
Hi, my question is, and my confusion is that I'm a transfer student. However, none of these speaker addresses my generation. I'm in my 50s and I'm transferring. And is there another site that would more address the issue of an older student?
Yeah, great question and congratulations. So we will be probably offering a few more sessions in the upcoming fall semester. So that's something that we definitely want to work with. And in the meantime, we do want to support you in your endeavors. And as if you have any questions in regards to like transferring and things like that, I hope that you were still able to find some of today's session and information useful and beneficial. And
just that our situation, like this is more of, you know, it's just a lot of issues and a lot of hurdles that these young people have been over. I respect and I applaud 100 times, but it's almost to say that if you're 50 and over, you know, I've worked, I've done this or done that, and that's not my hurdle. My hurdle basically is, and it's not childcare, it's not working 2 or 3 jobs, it's basically getting into school. My thing is fast paced, and it's almost the opposite of some of these young people. It's fast paced, let me get into school, let me do whatever I can do at a fast pace without having any distraction. I personally don't have those distractions, but I do. I want these young people to know 100 times over, I respect your story. I applaud your story. I'm inspired by your story to, you know, inspire my own adult children. However, I just need to talk to someone that's specifically to what I need at this point.
Ellie, can I answer that?
Yes.
Hi. So Dorcia, I think it's Dorcia, right?
It's Deborah.
Deborah, I'm sorry. I was talking to somebody earlier in chat. Actually, you know, there is somebody that I would like to connect you with. Her name is Lena Brown, or the great Lena Brown. And Lena was a student who returned to school after raising her daughter and was in her 40s, 50s when she started at UCLA, has since graduated and so forth, but she's still working in helping students out. So I will get your information and we'll send you an email, or you can look mine up, Alfred Herrera, and send me an email, and then I'll connect you with her because I think she will be very, very helpful to you in helping you get through some of the things that you're concerned about.
Can you send me your information?
Sure. Yeah, we
Okay,
have your
thank you.
information on the registration, so I'll look you up and we'll get your information so that we can send you an email, and we'll arrange a time for that.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Stay strong,
I
stay
want to
positive.
thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for bringing that concern and for for your courage and also your power, in that statement. And I think that's a great thing that we need to build on, and I also need to think about. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your knowledge. You're so wise in this information, and I appreciate you being here today in this webinar with us. Just wanted to say that.
And if you want to get to me before I get back to you, they just posted my email in the chat.
Okay.
But you'll hear from me in the next day or so.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you too, young man.
And if
thank you so much.
And if there are others who are in the same kind of situation that are interested in, let me know as well. My email's in the chat, and we'll try to coordinate some conversations for you. No, sorry, we won't try to coordinate. We will coordinate some sessions for you.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you to our panelists for joining us. Thank you for all the students that are here today sharing space. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us, and for spending some of your morning with us here today. We love our scholars and our students and our mentors and are very proud of you. So I want to thank our panelists for joining us. So thank you very much. And for any students, I know there's a lot of students as FirstGen, right, as community college students, where you're looking for support, please reach out to us. So I know that especially now with like COVID and everything happening, you might feel like you don't know kind of where to turn or where to go to for support. And we really want to make ourselves accessible to you. So you can, if you are on social media, you can send us a message through there and we'll answer you. If you rather talk on the phone, our phone lines are still open and available. If you want to shoot us an email, if you want to set up a one-on-one Zoom appointment with us, we can definitely do that. We're here to support all of you. So if there's something that you have questions about, or as Deborah brought up, like I want to connect with someone that can specifically talk to about my experience and my questions that I have, please reach out to us, please connect with us. We have an extensive network. As folks mentioned, networking is big and building community is big. And so we're here to support you in whatever way we can. So thank you so much. I'm now closing session 1. Session 2 will begin at 2 p.m. In the afternoon, we're going to be focusing more about really thriving at the 4-year and preparing and thriving at the graduate and professional school level as a first-generation student, as someone that started their journey at the community college. We have amazing panelists and keynote speakers that will be joining us at 2 p.m. So all of y'all can take a break. We'll still leave the session on and open. We'll have some slides happening, some music happening if you want to join us and stay here. Build community will still be on the chat. At 1 p.m. we'll be playing a FirstGen bingo. So if you want to join us for that activity, we encourage you to join us. But thank you so much for joining us this morning and for being here, and I appreciate all of you.
Thank you to the panelists. You were amazing.
Thank you. I hope to see all of you at our other events, at our other Power to the Transfer events. Join Men of Color on August 17th. Register. Thank you.
We also have an eval. So please give us feedback.
I had a question. Is this the same link for this Zoom meeting? Is it the same for the other one? For the
Yes.
two? Okay, thank you.
Yes. It'll be the same link.
Thank you, everyone.
Now we can say what we really wanted to say. Just kidding. Good job, everybody.